In an era where smartphones have become an extension of our hands and social media a mirror of self-esteem, a new type of social stratification has emerged. Digital discrimination is a phenomenon where children and teenagers are bullied and excluded from a group based on their digital status. This could be an outdated phone, the lack of an account on a popular social network, or an insufficient number of followers. According to research, 1 in 3 school children has faced ridicule due to their digital standing. Behind the dry statistics lie real stories of children whose self-esteem is shattered by the waves of digital inequality. Teenagers aged 12 to 15 are particularly vulnerable, an age when belonging to a group becomes critically important. This invisible enemy of modernity acts unnoticed by adults, but leaves deep wounds in the psyche of a developing person. Digital discrimination has become the dark side of technological progress, one that society is only just learning to cope with. Bullying has evolved with technology. If insulting notes used to be passed from hand to hand, today humiliating messages spread through group chats in seconds. Traditional playground bullying has transformed into a round-the-clock attack on social media, where there's no break or bell to interrupt the stream of taunts. Digital discrimination is a qualitatively new phenomenon, going beyond ordinary cyberbullying. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that the object of ridicule is not a person's personal qualities, but their position in the digital world. Phone brand, headphone model, internet speed, all of this becomes the basis for social stratification. Digital discrimination is particularly dangerous due to its invisibility to adults. A teacher can break up a fight in the hallway, but rarely notices bullying in a private chat. A parent will see a bruise, but won't recognize the emotional wound from being excluded from a virtual group. Unlike classic bullying, digital discrimination leaves no visible traces, but its psychological consequences can be even more severe. Digital bullying has an unlimited audience. A humiliating video can be seen by the entire class, school, or even strangers. The anonymity of aggressors amplifies the cruelty of attacks, and constant access to the victim through gadgets makes the bullying continuous. For a modern teenager, exclusion from the digital space is tantamount to social death. Digital inequality is an invisible line dividing modern society into haves and have-nots in the world of technology. In adolescence, this gap becomes particularly acute, forming the basis for social segregation. A child without the latest iPhone model or with slow internet automatically falls into the category of lagging behind. The socio-economic differences of families are directly translated into the status of children in the digital space. School children from low-income families find themselves in a double bind. They are not only deprived of access to quality digital resources, but also become objects of ridicule from their peers. Studies show that real digital castes are formed in classrooms. Children with premium gadgets form closed groups, inaccessible to those who use budget devices. This is especially evident in schools where children from families with different incomes study. A teenager with an outdated phone cannot participate in popular mobile games, take quality photos for social networks, or use certain applications. This automatically excludes them from significant social interactions. The digital divide is exacerbated by differences in skills. Children from technologically advanced families master digital tools from an early age, gaining an advantage over their peers. They are better oriented in trends, faster to master new platforms and applications, which increases their social status among peers. For a modern teenager, the lack of access to digital resources is equivalent to social isolation. In the digital space, the psychological mechanisms of group conflicts acquire a special dynamic. Teenagers, striving for self-identification, unconsciously form so-called in-groups. a circle of their own, possessing similar digital attributes. Concurrently, outgroups emerge, those who do not meet established digital standards. This age-old mechanism of us versus them in the digital environment gains lightning-fast speed of dissemination and depth of impact. The social identity of a modern teenager is formed through the prism of their digital image. Ownership of certain gadgets or skills becomes a pass into a desired social group. Psychologists note that conformity, the desire to fit into a group, is greatly amplified in the digital environment. A teenager is willing to do a lot to avoid standing out from the correct digital group. The formation of a digital elite occurs through several channels: material, expensive devices; competence, advanced digital skills; and social, number of followers, likes. Those who do not fit these criteria automatically fall into the category of digital outcasts. It is particularly concerning that such a division often occurs instantaneously and unconsciously. Digital status becomes a visible marker of social standing that cannot be hidden. A teenager with an outdated phone cannot simply not show it. The use of the gadget happens publicly. This constant digital surveillance by peers creates continuous psychological pressure, fostering anxiety and fear of social rejection. In the world of teenagers, social networks have become not just a means of communication, but also an arena for status display. The number of subscribers, likes under photos, and comments have transformed into a new currency of popularity. A schoolchild with 1,000 subscribers automatically gains respect, while their classmate with a few dozen followers finds themselves on the periphery of social life. Modern teenagers evaluate each other by their digital footprint, the quality of photos, the style of their account, the ability to create trending content. This new system of status symbols is ruthless. Either you meet the unspoken standards of digital popularity, or you become invisible. Branded gadgets have turned into indicators of prestige. A teenager with headphones of a well-known brand receives silent approval from peers, while the owner of an unknown brand risks becoming an object of ridicule. Behind these processes lies a powerful psychological phenomenon: FOMO, the fear of missing out. Teenagers constantly monitor social networks, afraid of missing an important event or trend. This fear becomes the driving force behind digital discrimination. No one wants to be left out. School children with limited access to technology or social networks experience double stress. They are not only deprived of the opportunity to participate in digital life, but also suffer from the realization that they are constantly missing something. Their peers, immersed in the world of likes and reposts, form a digital elite, access to which is open only to the chosen few. Who are they? The participants in the digital drama unfolding on smartphone screens? A typical victim of digital discrimination is often a teenager from a middle or low-income family. They use an outdated gadget, have limited internet access, or possess underdeveloped digital skills. Psychologically, such children often exhibit heightened sensitivity to criticism and insecurity in social interactions. They experience every negative comment, every sneer at their digital status more acutely. At the other pole is the aggressor, usually a teenager with high digital status. Their motives are varied, from strengthening their own position in the group to compensating for internal complexes by humiliating others. Interestingly, digital aggressors rarely act alone, forming a support group around themselves. A special role is played by observers, the silent majority, who, through their non-intervention, effectively support discrimination. One like under an insulting comment, one silent agreement with digital bullying, and the observer becomes an accomplice. At the same time, it is the observers who possess immense power to stop digital discrimination by standing up for the victim. Conflict development scenarios often follow a predictable path, from isolated taunts about digital status to complete exclusion from online communities and subsequent isolation in real life. Digital bullying rarely remains solely in the virtual space. It inevitably seeps into school hallways, becoming a complex problem. Digital discrimination leaves deep wounds in a child's psyche, often invisible to others. When a teenager is systematically ridiculed because of their digital status, their brain reacts in the same way as to physical pain. Neurobiological studies show social rejection activates the same brain areas as physical trauma. Short-term consequences appear almost immediately: anxiety, sleep disturbances, decreased concentration, and academic performance. The child begins to avoid school, where they encounter tormentors, or, conversely, becomes obsessed with social media, trying to raise their virtual status. Long-term effects are even more alarming. Victims of digital discrimination are 1.5 to 2 times more likely to develop clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder. Self-esteem, formed during adolescence, becomes distorted. The child begins to define their worth through the prism of digital recognition. The mechanism of transferring virtual exclusion into real life is particularly dangerous. Beginning in chats and social networks, ostracism quickly penetrates school corridors. Classmates, accustomed to ignoring the child in group discussions, continue to do so in person. Digital labels become real. Psychologists note an alarming trend. Teenagers who have experienced serious digital discrimination have a 4-fold increased risk of suicidal thoughts. Digital bullying is especially dangerous due to its continuity. Unlike traditional bullying, it is impossible to hide from it at home. The smartphone, conceived as a communication tool, turns into a constant source of stress and humiliation. In the era of digital technologies, the ability to resist negative online phenomena becomes a key survival skill. Digital resilience is not just the ability to block offenders, but a whole complex of psychological and technical competencies that allow a child to maintain emotional balance in an aggressive virtual environment. The formation of a healthy attitude towards digital status symbols begins with an understanding of their relativity. It is important for parents to discuss with children that the number of likes does not determine a person's worth, and the phone model does not reflect personal qualities. Critical thinking becomes a shield against digital discrimination. Teach your child to ask questions. Why is this brand considered prestigious? Who benefits from creating trends? What is behind the desire to have a certain gadget? Digital literacy should include not only technical skills, but also an understanding of manipulation mechanisms on the network. Show your teenager how social media algorithms work, forming a distorted view of reality. Explain the principles of targeted advertising, which creates artificial needs. Help develop the skill of recognizing fakes and edited photos. It is important to create alternative sources of self-worth not related to the digital world. Sports, creativity, volunteering are areas where a person's value is determined by real achievements, not virtual status. Encourage the diversity of your child's interests, so that failures in one area are compensated by successes in another. Parents are the child's first line of defense in the digital world. Their role in preventing digital discrimination is hard to overestimate, as it is within the family that the basic attitude towards technology and social interactions is formed. A key strategy becomes the creation of a trusting atmosphere, where the child is not afraid to talk about online problems. Practice active listening without judgment. Instead of regularly inquire about the child's digital life, but avoid total control, which can undermine trust. It's important to find a balance between security and privacy. Become a digital mentor for your child. Help them master the necessary technologies so they don't feel left behind among peers. At the same time, foster a healthy attitude towards gadgets. A phone is a tool, not an indicator of your worth. Discuss realistic expectations from social media with your child. Explain the mechanisms of digital trend formation. If the family budget does not allow for a prestigious gadget, honestly discuss it with the child, offering alternative ways to enhance their digital competence. Teach the child to defend themselves against digital aggressors, block offenders, save evidence of bullying, seek help from trusted adults. Model healthy technology use by your own example. Children copy their parents' digital habits. Schools are places where children spend a significant part of their time, and it is educational institutions that can become key allies in the fight against digital discrimination. A modern school should not only teach subjects but also foster a healthy digital culture. Advanced educational institutions are already integrating digital ethics lessons into their curriculum, where students discuss online behavior rules, the consequences of cyberbullying, and the value of diversity in the digital world. An effective strategy includes regular class hours dedicated to digital interaction issues, involving school psychologists and invited experts. It is important to create equal opportunities for access to technology in schools. Advanced educational institutions organize computer labs with open access during after-school hours, so that students without home devices can complete digital assignments. Some schools implement systems for temporary use of tablets and laptops, minimizing the gap between technologically privileged and underprivileged students. Particularly effective are peer-to-peer learning projects, where technologically advanced students help their less experienced peers master digital skills. Such collaboration not only raises the overall level of digital literacy, but also fosters an atmosphere of mutual assistance instead of competition. School rules should clearly regulate the use of gadgets, preventing situations where technological differences become a reason for ridicule. Some educational institutions introduce a dress code for electronic devices, neutral-colored cases, a ban on displaying brands, which reduces the significance of status symbols. When faced with digital discrimination, it's crucial to act quickly and consistently. The first step is documenting what's happening. Save screenshots of offensive messages, record dates and times of incidents. This evidence may be needed when contacting school administration or law enforcement in serious cases. Upon identifying digital bullying, it's necessary to immediately limit the child's contact with aggressors by using blocking functions on social media. To restore the victim's psychological balance, the quote technique is effective. Create a physical and emotional environment where the child feels protected. Practice dialogues that boost self-esteem. Help the teenager reframe negative beliefs. Instead of, for the child's reintegration into the social environment, use the small groups method. Find interest-based communities where digital status is not a defining factor. These could be sports sections, creative clubs, or volunteer projects. Educators are advised to implement group activities where technological differences are leveled, and each participant's contribution is valued. Psychologists advise parents to avoid hasty decisions like buying an expensive gadget. This temporarily solves the problem, but reinforces a false connection between self-worth and material possessions. Instead, invest time in developing the child's emotional intelligence and their ability to resist social pressure. Remember, the goal of support is not only to heal the current wound, but also to prevent future vulnerability. The digital future is being born today, and it is up to us to decide what it will be like. The formation of an inclusive digital culture is a task not only for the state or educational institutions, but for every member of society. Technologies are developing rapidly, opening new horizons for reducing the digital divide. Artificial intelligence, adaptive learning systems, accessible high-speed internet. All these innovations can become a bridge across the digital chasm. Technologies that allow people with different abilities to participate equally in digital life look especially promising. However, technical progress must go hand in hand with ethical development. We need clear ethical standards for the use of digital technologies in children's and adolescent communities. These rules should be formed with the participation of children themselves, educators, psychologists, and technology companies. Only through joint efforts can we create a digital environment where diversity, not uniformity, is valued, where personality, not the brand of a gadget, is respected. The path to a fair digital future lies through education. Digital literacy should include not only technical skills, but also the ethical aspects of online interaction. Children must understand that behind every account stands a living person with feelings and experiences. Each of us can contribute to the creation of a healthy digital culture. Parents, through personal example and open dialogue with children. Educators, by integrating digital ethics into the educational process. Technology companies, by developing tools that minimize the risks of digital discrimination. And children themselves, by showing empathy and support to those who are on the periphery of the digital world. The future belongs to those societies that can harmoniously combine technological progress with humanistic values, creating a digital environment where every person feels included, valued, and protected.